This program is recorded live and may feature unexpected moments, sightings, or conversations. Viewer discretion is advised.
My name is Alex, and my job is to explore the world around me and take you along for the ride.
That's why they call it the jungle, sweetheart.
I've guided a lot of adventures and have come to realize that our planet needs us now more than it ever has before.
If you don't believe in climate change, f*** you.
I've learned it's only going to be through working together that we can restore biodiversity on our planet.
If it hadn't been for the Russians, you might have done fairly well.
Join myself and my friends as we bring you into the tent of conservation and the realm of the wild itself. And along the way,
we'll drive this Land Rover across this broken bridge.
We'll be exploring wild things.
You want to talk about sustainable seafood? Do I ever?
In wild places.
Okay. If you look, see there's a pet. Yeah. There's a toad there.
January 4th, 2020. We're all packed and ready. What an excellent feeling. It's as if I find myself standing on the edge of a great cliff. I'm so ready to get this adventure underway and experience something new and wonderful. The next few weeks promise to be difficult, but full of memories that will surely last a lifetime. January 5th, 2020, 12:50 p.m. We've made it as far as Germany, and as soon as we got in the airport, passed out on some benches. I awoke to a creepy face staring right at me, and had no idea where I was. Jeff and Ben are sleeping right now. Our flight here was hot and uncomfortable. During descent, my ear clogged up and now refuses to open, which is making me really uncomfortable. January 7th, 2020. January 8th. Yesterday we arrived in Kruger Park, 4 a.m. Beautiful, gear packed. By the end of the afternoon, last night, our surprise drive was to be on the road. January 10th, 2020. Rain. I woke up to an amazing lightning storm that fully illuminated the bush for as far as the eye could see. What a stunning display. Our morning bushwalk was canceled, which Metwell, our guide, seemed thankful for. Given there were no activities, I simply sat on the porch and took in the sights and smells of the storm. I hope I never forget the way Africa smells. It smells like the basket section of World Market.
It's about 4 in the morning right now, and it's Friday. And I woke up to the sound of thunder and lightning, which, if you're from Northern California, is kind of cool, because we don't get to hear that too often. This view out here behind me is the open savanna. Yesterday it was filled with wildebeest and impala. We had quite a lot of zebra, and there were big elephant here for a while. But this morning it's pretty empty as far as I can tell. I've been listening and I don't hear any animal sound. I've been looking and of course I don't see anything. At 4 in the morning like it is right now, I feel like this is the time that you'd find spiders and snakes and things of that nature. But this lightning is incredible. I hope it's showing up okay. Really though, the best way to describe Africa is you have to go see it.
Welcome back to Misguided, everybody. Happy New Year 2021, finally. Is it going to be any better than 2020? Who knows? I certainly don't. But I hope your little neck of the woods is doing quite well. If you're in America, congratulations. Welcome to the second Civil War. It's going to be a fun ride, I can tell. We've got the whole crew here tonight. We've got Jeff and Zach with us. Jeff, what did I say? Jack? Jeff. There you go. Jeff and Zach with us tonight. And we've got a okay show for you lined up. I'll be honest, it's fine. It could be better, it could be worse. Why not, right? We'll jump into it here in a minute, but first, just kind of a year in review. I mean, holy cow, a year ago at this exact moment, I would have been sitting in the Kruger National Park, South Africa. I would have been it would have been morning, so we would have, that clip you saw there, we would have been leaving a camp called C.T.A and on our way to Letaba for the night, a beautiful camp. And I'm just reminiscing on the sound of hippopotami out in the river below. 2020 did set the bar very low. I have to agree, Mom. But I don't know. I'm trying to be a little bit Pollyanna about it. I'm trying to think, was 2020 hard? Yeah. Did I learn a lot? Yeah. There's nowhere to go but up, I guess, if you think about it. And really, the year helped set me on the right course. I think it showed me personally where I'm meant to be in the world, and ultimately start to align me with ways to get there. So all in all, 2020, I'm not going to complain. Do I want to live in lockdown all the time? Nah, but it is what it is. At any rate, everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. We've got a decent show lined up for you. We're going to be getting into Blast from the Past. So reminiscing on our time in Africa last year at this exact time, we're going to be reading a book from South Africa. And as usual, if you have questions, comments, concern all along the way, please let us know by jumping into the show, throwing in some chat, which now you can see we have featured here. This is season 2, so we're trying to upgrade a little bit, add in some new features we didn't have before, swap some things out. You might have seen the opening of the show looks a little bit different. We're trying really hard to make it look a little bit better, but we're also going to try to keep our same format that we usually keep, which is... we're going to cover some headlines. We're going to cover some topics of the day. We're going to start to interview some guests. We've got some great guests coming up for you later in the month, later next month. But tonight, like I said, the usual crew's with us, and we're going to be reminiscing on all things Africa. So hang tight. We'll be right back for you.
If you don't know who I am, I'll tell you so you understand.
All right, here we are. Ready?
I've arrived.
Ready for the Second American Civil War?
Wrapped in a blanket of patriotism.
Now, if I may, holy fuck, what is going on? Also, your mic, you might want to turn it on.
Is it not on?
Is it? I think you're good.
Am I good?
Hello? Yeah, you're good.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're fine.
Legend. All right, cool.
Second American Civil War. Jeez.
This is my first.
Oh, this is your. That's right. Mine too.
Shut up, guys.
You just Aussie patriotism. Talk about it.
It depends on where you go. Most of the time, we don't care.
Most of the time, we don't care. I think here in the States, we take things a little bit more seriously. We take our guns seriously. We take our land seriously. Our don't tread on me.
No, that's not our vibe at all. We don't have time for that. Like,
Yet we're both breakaways from the Commonwealth.
Right.
Although you guys are shackle draggers.
And you guys like way more hardcore than we are.
All the way.
Right.
USA.
We're like, yeah, that's great, but we're going to go like drink on the beach somewhere. Like,
Well, we like drinking too.
no.
Just, we also siege our own capital.
Yeah, so we're more easy breezy about it. That's fine.
Even during the Civil War, that didn't happen. What a clusterfuck is the only way to put that.
But we're all in this together, so that's great. We're here together.
It's going to be great. Later in the show, we'll totally get more into politics for you guys. Remember, this is Blast from the Past, so we're reviewing kind of everything that's been weird over the last 4 years. In that capacity, we're going to be getting into a book here, supplied by my mom, The World of Big Game by Penny Miller and C.T.A. Maberly. This book is from South Africa, so we're going to try to hit some of those feels that I think the world hasn't really gone past in a lot. You know what I'm getting at? Like, we're still arguing about race in this country.
Right.
They're still arguing about race in this country.
Right.
Is it similar in Australia? I assume there's racial tensions with the Aboriginal people.
Yeah, but it's not as intense as that.
Because you're all drunk on a beach all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, Pam, welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us.
Hi,
We were just pondering a little bit the extremely odd historical week that we've all experienced here in the States. I don't know about you, but I'd rather not have to consistently live through like major U.S. history. I don't know how you guys all feel about this. Jeff, behind the camera.
Exciting for me.
Love it.
Love it.
Every second.
Love every second. Yeah. I'm trying to picture like history teachers 100 years from now having to teach all this stuff to kids, and
They're all going to go, all right, kids, 2020. Where do we begin?
All right, everybody, back up. We're going to have a whole unit on 2020, actually.
Right.
There's going to be 3 exams at the end of it.
It's just going to be like that thick. Most of it's going to be like 2020.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Jeff?
No, you covered it.
Tricorn
I
hat.
just got here.
You're also sitting exactly where our headlines are going to go. You might want to move.
Cool, bye.
If,
up my face.
if you're new to the show, one of the things we like to cover right at the beginning is conservation headlines from around the world. I wish I could offer a little bit happier headlines for you, but it's a new year, new subjects, weird week that we've all gone through. And unfortunately, there's a few headlines that aren't particularly happy. But I think if a show like Misguided can't cover them, who else is going to?
No, there aren't any other shows like this one anywhere.
Thank you. That's a great plug. Remember that. Tell your friends.
That didn't seem forced at all.
I definitely paid him. I'm going to take off this Civil War hat now. That's
brought to you by Australia.
That's probably okay. Our first headline for you guys here. Let's pull this guy up right here. Whoops. Let's pull that up. There we go. Oh, not that one. Not that one. This one right there. The Endangered Rhino Conservation Group. Let me pull them up here. I need a little help to jog my memory. Unfortunately, a bit of sad news. Now, this is a conservation group out of South Africa, and I feel like groups that focus on rhino are kind of a dime a dozen.
Sure.
Yeah? There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's heaps. I mean, it's a major conservation issue, and there's a lot going on there, wide distribution, so kind of, yeah.
Ben, you're with us too.
Ben Krebs here.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, Ben says hi.
Jeff Revere, great.
Safari Steve himself.
Safari Steve is in the house, everybody. Rhino conservation. Now, this is certainly a topic that we could go deep down the rabbit hole.
That's
There's
a whole episode.
Film called Trophy that you might want to check out. That it's on Netflix. That I think really starts to illustrate these points.
And Ivory Game.
Ivory Game.
That's
I mean, there's again, BBC has thoroughly covered most of these subjects, and there's a lot of groups that still use animals like the rhino as their emblem, as their mascot, as the animal they focus on. Elephants would be in a similar category. But the Endangered Rhino Conservation Group has some rather sad news. Now, this photo you guys are seeing here is of a mother and her young calf. And unfortunately, just about 2 days ago, both of these animals were killed by poachers. They were both really killed for no reason. They're part of a program where they actively dart rhinos, sedate them, right, and then remove the horn as a method of trying to curb poaching. But I don't want to go too far into the poaching category just because we have a lot of show to get through, and I think that could be a whole episode as well. We've got a whole brand new season ahead of us. We'll cover all kinds of stuff. Poachers are often desperate to try to leave it at the top. They're either right in like two camps, desperate or really black markety. And often desperate. So desperate.
Or a bit of both.
A bit of both.
Yeah.
They won't make any issue of going after an animal that even has a horn removed, as was Mom's case. And I just want to double check Mom. That's right. Her name is Renee, and her baby is Maggie, as you can see here in the photo. Renee had her horn removed as a proactive measure to try to curb poaching. And unfortunately, the poachers found her. We can only speculate as to how they felt, potentially desperate. So they did kill her about 2 days ago and dug into her face to remove what was left of the keratin, and then killed her baby just because they could. And I thought that this, first off, is a super heavy topic, right? What a fun way to start season 2.
This is what our brains look like all the time.
Live with that constantly. We have Valerie with us. Hello, Valerie. And Kevin. Why does the BBC insist on the same old tired format of great cinematography? I agree. I mean, BBC has covered. I'm trying to hold the rhino picture
What's
here.
What's wrong with it?
It doesn't help. I think ultimately.
What else is there?
Really good storytelling. I'd rather put the people who live with these animals. I'd rather put, honestly, the poacher on screen than the rhino.
My favorite part of those docs is the behind the scenes. That one episode where you've got all the scientists and the camera people going through like the methodology of like getting the shot and like what's going on behind. They should do a whole series on that.
Right?
We should do a whole series on that.
We will do a whole series on that. I agree, Kevin. I think the cinematography element is really pretty, and it certainly is captivating to watch, but ultimately, it's gotten us nowhere.
Sure.
I mean, we're still facing the same issues all around the world. It's not just rhinos. It's throw a dart, any number of species of animals. We're going to cover that a little bit later in the show, actually. So something new has to change. And that's part of the goal here in a show like Misguided is, people don't often sit and just chat about these kind of subjects. I see we've got, again, Kevin, Pam, Valerie, Victoria. We've got Jeff. On the stream. Hi, Jeff. Welcome.
You're on the show, Jeff.
Ben with us. I'm so glad you guys all made some time to join us and be able to have these conversations, because I think the solutions to conservation have to be first in recognizing that these are people related in every facet,
right?
Because it's people doing these things to our planet.
Right.
I didn't want to just bring this up with the intent of bumming you guys out. I wanted to try to show you guys a little bit more. So again, this is this group. If you guys wanted to donate potentially, I left the link to the endangered rhino conservation in the description for the show. If you guys wanted to check them out for yourself, if you wanted to donate, because all across Africa we're finding the same issue, and this is a global issue, right? The funding because of COVID is non-existent everywhere. I'm just realizing they can't see us right now. There's a picture. It's ironic to me that a breakdown in conservation in China impacted the world so dramatically, and then the demand for things like rhino horn ultimately going back to places like China and Vietnam. It's all tied back to the same region of the world over and over. And again, I think engaging people might be the solution. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It all starts with people. I mean, I don't know. I feel like so I work in carnivore conservation, and whenever I talk to people about what I do, I think the impression is, oh, you're just like out in the forest, just rolling around like with leopards and stuff, having a great time, whatever. Hashtag Tiger King. But like, it's really talking to people, you know, because there's a human issues impacting wild species, and so when you can get people to take ownership of their own wildlife, everything just sort of comes along, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see, I'm just trying to pull up here. So I thought too that we would just real quick kind of hit rhinos themselves, a little bit of controversy. So quick, fun fact, how many species of rhinos are there?
5.
5, name them, go.
Indian, Javan, Sumatran, black, and white.
You get a gold sticker for the day.
Yeah.
White rhino. I thought I'd quickly pull up this map. This is the IUCN Red List, which is kind of the go-to quick guide for how many blue whales are there. I don't know. Let's look up the number real quick and figure out how many are left. Or if you want to get quick access to information on any species, this is your go-to Bible, in my opinion. There's 2 types of white rhino, arguably, the northern and southern. Southern population historically has been a little bit better. 100 years ago, it was not doing well at all. Took a huge nosedive. We could go through the whole history, but basically in the last 10 years, it made a rebound, and then this is where it gets sad. It's going down again. The current number as of just prior to the show was 10,080 wild individuals, which is down from last year.
Correct. Now, that's also just mature adults. So there's some babies and juveniles that are kind of floating around in there too. So I'd probably go like 10 to 15. You know.
But I'm trying to think back to, 2016 or so, 15. The number was as high as 22,000 mature adults.
Yeah.
But it's going down.
Yeah. Right.
And again, I think this all just relates too greatly to the pandemic we face ourselves with, and routine demand and pressure on wild spaces.
Yeah.
This is all behavior that needs to change. I also thought I'd pull up the map real quick here, just so you guys could see a little bit better the historic range of rhinoceros in Africa, at least. There you go. And again, if you want to check this out for yourself in a little bit more detail, you can go ahead and check that out at the IUCN Red List. Yeah, I did. Valerie says I put up the basic IUCN website. Again, that's just a really quick, easy go-to, in my opinion. It just kind of gets you the quick info you need, and then gives you a nice springboard if you want to jump around, learn a little bit more, dig more. IUCN is a good resource for just a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and you might see us at the IUCN Congress in France come September.
France, they have snails there.
And conservation.
And conservation.
The largest conservation conference in the world.
Just a minor detail. Moving swiftly on, we've got another headline for you. I'm just going to check the comments before I jump to that. Valerie and Pam, yeah, glad to have both you guys with us. We can't see the main web page. For which one, Valerie? Is that? Let me. Oh, I don't know if I have that handy with me real quick, but I've got here, I'm just going to cut back to it real quick. This is the white rhino page from the IUCN Red List, just the basic, quick, easy access page. And then I had, if you wanted to learn more about the Endangered Rhino Conservation Group, this is their homepage to be able to jump to. We got a question, it looks like. Let me jump back to it. Will you be in France in September? So cool.
Correct, going to Marseille. So I work for an organization called Species, and so through Species I work have my own conservation program that I'm setting up in Malawi on leopards. But we'll be there, so it'll be a good time. So us and Jane and Sylvia Earle is going too, so it'll be a big turnout.
You know, some minor names in conservation.
Yeah. Sylvia Earle, whatever.
Quickly jumping, we've got a next headline for you guys. Microplastics are unfortunately everywhere. And plastic as a substance is relatively, about 100 years old. It's now been documented in human placentas, of all places.
Not good.
Our headlines, again, I don't know if I mentioned it on this show. They come from mongabay.com, great resource for the global news and conservation.
Yeah, it's like our CNN, you know.
It's our CNN, for those of us who are super nerdy about this stuff. Microplastics, what do you already know about that?
I know that I eat a decent amount of fish, pescatarian, right? I also know that it is in a vast majority of the food that I eat all the time. So.
Yeah, the documents I've read suggest that microplastics are found worldwide, bottom of the ocean, every living thing you can imagine. Everywhere we've looked, microplastics have turned up. To me, it's a symbol of what could be seen as a good idea, plastic, that quickly became not a good idea. And it just, for me, I like to percolate on how do we go about navigating the conversations where maybe something has run its course. Is there a use for plastic? Is there not a use for plastic?
I think plastic is a good example of just because we can doesn't mean that we should.
Is that Jurassic Park?
Yes. Ian Malcolm.
I never remember their names. We have Ian Malcolm and who am I?
Dr. Grant.
Thank you, Dr. Grant. I don't watch movies, guys. I'm really sad and dumb.
I actually watched him watch Jurassic Park for the first time, and it was really exciting for me, which was good. That was good.
Be careful for that gun, Alex. It looks sketchy. I don't know how. I should probably quickly time out here and try to explain why I have a gun. There we go. Get rid of that for a second. Top of the show, we were just trying to highlight that what a crazy week this has been for America. And I was just joking that we should all be ready for the start of the Second Civil War. This actually is a historic weapon. This is from the 1870s, so it's almost as old as the Civil War. Don't ask why I have it. It's just here. It's not loaded. It's going to just live here for the night. I don't know. I feel a little bit like Alan Alda and MASH. I just am like, it's a thing. I'm going to leave you here. Don't be bad. Don't be naughty. Jumping to our next headline, we've got beetles I'm trying to remember, beetles and flowering trees rely on each other in the Amazon.
I love beetles.
This wasn't a big surprise to me. Sometimes I read headlines and I'm like, okay, your point is? So basically they found that beetles were pollinating all kinds of trees all around the forest.
Yeah, it's their job.
It's their job.
Yeah.
Every animal has a job. Every species. You and I have a job, like a literal job and then a nature job.
Right, and like when we lose a species, the effects of that loss can be immediate. It could be a couple of years down the line. It could be 20 years down the road. You know, and that's why preserving biodiversity is so important. You know.
And I've had that conversation with people, but they've said like, well, you know, it doesn't really matter because if something disappears, something else is going to just take its place, right? And I'm like,
that's not how it works, friend.
That's not how it works, friend. It's too fast. It needs to slow down.
Right.
But you guys all get that. You're smart. You're smart. And then one last headline for you guys here, just trying to keep an eye on the time, keep an eye on what we're up to. Let me quickly read the comments. Nice. IUCN Red List search. So I don't have time to look on that. Can we stop making plastics? Pam asked. I don't know. I've actually thought a lot about this. Could we just stop doing some of the things? Could we just stop using oil? I don't know. How easy would that be?
That's I think in execution. All right. Okay. Once upon a time, I saw this film called. It was something in the vein of like, who killed the electric car? So, the electric car isn't new. Like, it's been around for decades now. But like, the oil industry just killed it straight away.
That was like 1900, though.
It was like a long time ago, ish. It's like, yes, we can. There are like alternatives, I think, to everything. But like, money is a thing. So unless there's an alternative that will generate the same amount of revenue, if not more, then I don't know. It's hard to get people that aren't dialed into this stuff to jump on board to what we're talking about.
Right,
So
right.
until we can do that, then I don't know.
Sometimes I go to Costco or Walmart and just kind of walk around and watch, because I think for the folks who work in conservation, it's easy for us to sit around like we're doing now with you guys and each other and have these conversations. But we don't often remember the impact is on people who aren't plugged into these. I mean, for a whole host of reasons, they don't have maybe the capacity to really take on these bigger issues and consider their impact and maybe live a lifestyle that's going to allow them to make the best choices for the planet.
Yep.
And that's not their fault. That's a whole list of other problems that have come to that outcome. So sometimes I walk around Costco and Walmart, and honestly, I just brainstorm. I think to myself, how is it that those of us in conservation can work to make it easily accessible for any of these people to live a lifestyle that's going to benefit our planet? And I haven't come up with an easy answer for it yet, but I call it the Betty Crocker problem. Are you aware of what happened with Betty Crocker?
No.
Should I?
Regale me.
A long time ago, about 100 years ago, what's his name? Edward Bernays is the original go-to, like, this is the dude that made up marketing. He's credited as single-handedly the one who made it socially acceptable for women to smoke in public. He created focus groups. Like, this guy was pretty ahead of his time. And in the early 1950s, Betty Crocker became a household name, and they came up with these easy make-at-home cakes that come in a box at the store, trying to make your life more convenient and easy. And they found they weren't selling very well at all. People didn't like them, and they consulted with Bernays, and he did some focus groups, and he came back and he said, people don't like it because they feel like they're cheating. And they said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, basically people make cakes. They whisk everything and they cook it, and they put effort into it. And what you're offering to them is this really easy ready-made kit that you just dump into a bowl, mix up, throw in the oven, and you're done. He said, my solution, add an egg. And Betty Crocker Group was like, add an egg, excuse me. And he said, add an egg. Do you need it? And Betty Crocker said, well, the kit's done. You don't need an egg. And he said, who cares? Add it anyway, because now at home, people feel like they're making something. Wow. And sales skyrocketed, and Betty Crocker became a household name. You and I have all probably had a Betty Crocker cake, but there is actually no point to that egg you put in the box. So this is where my head goes. I don't know about your head, but when I think about conservation, I think back to Betty Crocker. Like, making life more convenient is where we started to get derailed.
Right.
How do we go back but still make it easily choosable for people at home? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. These are big, big questions.
Legislation.
Let me check the comments. I'm sure someone has said something. Stop using as much plastic. This is reminding me of a vintage magazine article. You have to make a kit that requires an addition. Yeah, absolutely. Basically, there's no point to adding eggs or butter or milk. The mix is done. You just add water and go. Now, on a similar note, but we're going to change gears a little bit here, timber industries in Venezuela are booming right now. And as it turns out, according to Mongabey's report, it's benefiting ecosystems greatly because people are employed.
Great.
Thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts. This can be a whole episode. I think logging that's great. That's awesome, because if people don't have jobs, then poacher, right? That's how that goes. But loggers
do you need the gun?
No, I'm Australian.
I'm going to put it over here, actually.
Loggers in South America, I would argue, among the most, the greatest nemesis of indigenous groups,
right,
and species in South America. So it depends on who's doing it.
It depends on who's that's
logging.
fair. No, that's very fair.
Yeah.
I can't speak for Venezuela, but I can speak here. I am working hard to find a full-time job in conservation and make that just my everyday. But for now, my day job is I'm an archaeologist, and I go out, and my job actually relates to forestry and logging, where I'll go out and work with biologists to determine which trees are okay to cut down and which aren't. And then my job really is to protect archaeological sites, that whole spiel. But I can speak to this article and say that I have a job because of forestry ultimately, and out in California, PG&E, thank you very much. But yeah, I think everything you said there was extremely valid and a great point. Let me just backpedal, see if there's any comments. Interesting. Depends on who's doing it. Absolutely. Pam, I think that's, like you said, very fair.
It gets weird. Look into it.
Really fast.
Yeah, it gets really weird.
All right. On that note.
Knock, knock. Reality. Zach's here.
All right, we're going to grab Jeff here. We're going to get ready to take a look at this book. Jeff, hold on one sec, though. You stay there in the dark for a second. You stay there, Jeff. Again, tonight we have the world of big game. We're going back to Misguided Roots. Last summer when we started the show, really it was let's grab an old book about wildlife and dig into it, try to figure out why is it the way it is. Like, what have we moved on about? What does the book get right? What does it get wrong? The illustration's kind of weird. So we're going to get into this in just a minute. For now, though, we're going to cut to our musical moment of the week. And I would advise you, if you have a little bit of elixir with you, put on your seatbelt here, take a nice swig. You're going to need it to get through this segment. I don't mean to bum you guys out, but big old swig here. Remember, it's all going to be over in 12 days, and we can start to move on and heal as a nation and as a planet, because America's actions often impact the entire planet. On that note, we'll be right back.
If you don't know who I am,
We are strongly protecting our environment because we want America to have the cleanest air and the cleanest water anywhere on Earth.
So we have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs. I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air. We have the best, lowest number.
Remember that I kept saying we're going to do it?
And we have the best carbon emission numbers that we've had in 35 years under this administration.
We've been talking about doing it for years. They didn't do anything. It's all almost finished.
We are working so well with industry, but here's what we can't do. Look at China, how filthy it is. Look at Russia. Look at India. It's filthy. The air is filthy.
To fight red tide and other toxic algae.
The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord. It was so unfair. China doesn't kick in until 2030. Russia goes back to a low standard, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our businesses. So, you ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally. We have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the best carbon emission standards that we've seen in many minutes. They want to knock down buildings and build new buildings with little, tiny, small windows. And many other things.
Okay.
And many other things.
Let me have the Vice President.
Together we will preserve Florida's majestic natural beauty.
We don't need all of these countries that we had to fight war over because we needed their energy. We are energy independent. I know more about wind than you do. It's extremely expensive. Kills all the birds. It's very intermittent. It's got a lot of problems, and they happen to make the windmills in both Germany and China. And the fumes coming up, if you're a believer in carbon emission, the fumes coming up to make these massive windmills is more than anything that we're talking about with natural gas, which is very clean. One other thing.
Find me a scientist
Solar.
said that.
I love solar, but solar doesn't quite have it yet. It's not powerful yet to to really run our big, beautiful factories that we need to compete with the world. So it's all a pipe dream. But you know what we'll do? We're going to have the greatest economy in the world, but if you want to kill the economy, get rid of your oil industry. You want, and what about fracking?
All right, let me allow Vice President Biden to respond.
Never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did show the tape. Put it on your website.
Put it on.
Put it on the website. The fact of the matter is he's flat lying.
Would you rule out banning fracking?
I do rule out banning fracking because the answer we need other industries to transition to get to ultimately a complete zero emissions by 2025. What I will do with fracking over time is make sure that we can capture the emissions from the fracking, capture the emissions from gas. We can do that, and we can do that by investing money and doing it. But it's a transition to that.
I have one more question in this pod.
He was against fracking. He said it. I will show that to you.
Holy cow. Whew. That was a bit much. That's over.
You made it.
I did, and I'm so sorry. I wish I didn't have to. That's over 130 programs, guys, that the Trump administration rolled back. What is that?
But he was the best goodest ever.
Best darn rootin' tootin'est biggest president of all time. Ate more hamburgers than anybody.
Pint of milk for every baby.
Pint of milk for every baby. From here past the Mississippi. I need a minute after that. Holy cow.
I think we all do.
Like I said, guys, take a swig. Whew.
It's all over now, mostly.
Well, hey, there's 12 days.
That's fair.
This is going to be the best.
There was a coup the other day.
There was, just a major U.S. history. I'm kind of excited for the next 12 days because while they will be terrifying, mark my words, we're living through some epic history, and I wish we didn't have to, but when we're all old, decrepit, just in electric wheelchairs, we're going to have some weird stories to tell.
Right. Yeah. Alex, did you know that wildlife stage coups too?
They do, yes.
One species in particular.
Like Scar in Lion King.
Right, but I'm talking about real animals.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Elucidate us.
Like hyenas.
It's hyena.
What? It's hyena.
Crocuta.
So, hyenas, spotted hyenas will stage a coup. So, for you guys, so hyenas are female dominated, right? So, what'll happen is there's a lead female up here. And so
I want to talk closer to that.
Let's pretend her name is Stephanie. So we've got Stephanie up here. And then down here, you got all Stephanie's kind of underlings, right? You got like Becky and Sarah and Jessica. They're kind of down here doing their thing. They'll get together and go, we don't like Becky anymore. Let's kill Becky and let's put Genevieve in charge. And so that's what happened the other day. But here, with people.
With apes.
Real people.
With apes. I didn't have any words. Watching all that was just like, whew.
Shaw.
And I think as this book is going to nicely illustrate for us tonight, we'd like to think we've come quite a ways, and I don't know how you guys at home feel, but like, have we? We're arguing about the same stuff we fought a war over in the 1860s in this country. In South Africa, while apartheid is over, the same racial issues still really exist, and you feel it when you're there, and it's like palpable like it is here, and it's just, you wonder, why are we this way? Because you look at gorillas and chimps and bonobos, and you almost think like they tend to operate more in troops, right? In groups. Are we too big? Are we all trying to get along and maybe we aren't supposed to? I don't know.
Small group animal living in a large group society.
We're going to have to reinvent ourselves.
Which is why we all don't like each other.
Or we're going to put computers in our brain, and 300 years from now, no one will remember any of this. It's going to be fine. I don't blame you, Pam. You had to turn it off for a second. That's a bit much all at once, too, to see. water buffalo don't stage coos. They are a domesticated species. Maybe you're mentioning Cape buffalo, in which case,
sure,
why not?
They're cows anyway, so yeah,
they're cows anyway.
They don't.
Let me grab a different camera angle here. At any rate, tonight we are checking out this book. Again, this is The World of Big Game. Oh, that light's really throwing that off there. I can't make that any better. The World of Big Game. Let me move that around even more for you guys. Again, it's by Penny Miller and C.T.A. Maberly. Alex, what are the top 3 ways to change humans' perception today? That's a great question, Valerie. Let me turn back. I'm curious. By perception, what exactly are you getting at? Are you talking about conservation? Are you talking about wildlife? Are you talking about? Let me switch back. There we go. Are you talking about how we relate to each other? I'm curious to help me help you here with your question. And I know there's about a 20-second buffer, so I'm going to awkwardly wait. I'm going to take a sip of my Tusker. Oh, and then she probably has to type a little bit too. So
yeah.
So let me just kind of pull from the top of my head here. Top 3 ways to change humans' perception today.
Legislation. You do it for them.
You do it for them. Thank you, Russia. We don't tolerate that in America.
Yeah. Funded by Vladimir Putin.
So I'm just trying to speculate, and hopefully you're typing there and can help me direct more to what your question is, Valerie. But change humans' perception today. I think, speaking as an anthropologist, my background is in humans and it's in apes and studying that, although I took more of the cultural approach. You can't help but notice that wild apes, gorillas, chimps, bonobos, should we get into the billy ape?
Yes. Yes, we should.
We could.
No. Live in troops. They live in smaller groups. You can look at chimps specifically and say that often a little bit more aggressive society, certainly more so than you'd find in bonobos. Replied here.
Wildlife conservation.
Perception of wildlife conservation. I think, as just evidenced there in the Trump video, Valerie, there is so much going on, unfortunately, and people constantly have like something grabbing at their attention. If it's not politics, it's some advertising agency telling you that you need to focus on whatever thing they're peddling. And if it's not that, it's somebody in Hollywood that...
Yeah, or it's like what the Raiders are up to, Kim Kardashian's downstairs or whatever. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think about sports and how is it that we can fill a whole stadium of 10,000 people to watch a bunch of guys knock around each other.
Right.
And to be so passionate that, like, if one side loses, the whole stadium just, like, loses their mind.
Exactly.
Why can't we do that for wildlife?
And for me, what I keep falling back on is because it's easy to go to the stadium. It's easy to watch rugby or soccer, baseball. It's easy. Valerie, I think that's really at the heart of it. Make it easy. Make it easy for people to engage in wildlife. We were just talking about this the other day. I'm a huge fan of David Attenborough. I love him to death. I love him to bits. But that cinematic, beautiful, elegant film style that he's presented is great because it gets folks like us engaged, and Valerie, you, and everybody else in the audience engaged. But it's not hitting the mark with the mass market. Again, I go into a shop like Walmart, or if I were in England, Tesco or Costco. Those are the folks that personally I'm more concerned about because they aren't deliberately trying to live a lifestyle that's going to negatively impact the planet. But when they're at Costco, it's so easy to grab, we need apples. Let's grab some apples. And Costco has them shrink wrapped. You can get 6 apples shrink wrapped into a thing of plastic. Or, it's kind of hard cooking dinner because I'm working 2 jobs and I've got 3 kids and, my wife isn't doing anything. So how about we just grab some frozen pre-made meals? Make it easy. Make conservation easy.
Yes, Zach?
This is where I jump the school system. So, so your standard middle school, high school classroom of whole generations of kids. You look at your biology course, it's like 90% sales for no reason at all. I literally am a biologist, and this is not in I don't use that. It's not important, you know.
Right.
Then the other 10% is let's do earth science. Let's do bloody.
Sorry, 1 sec. Valerie says never go into Walmart again.
Yes.
I don't shop there. Honestly,
Right.
I go there. I'm an anthropologist to study people. That is the only reason I go
if
to
you want
Walmart.
to study people, go to Walmart at 3 a.m. There's some weirdos that rock up there.
I figure that's the demographic that I want to engage
Right.
with as a conservationist.
In the same vein,
But
you've got
school.
right, so
And that
there's
ties into, one of Valerie's other comments. She says sports events have been marketed to all of us to make us fall in love with that team or sport. And
Right.
you're saying that in biology classes in school, for example.
because you got to get them young, you know.
Get them young,
Get 'em
yes.
young,
Air
you know?
kick.
So then you've got a whole generations of people that aren't A, learning about environmentalism or conservation, or B,
But
excited about it.
to play devil's advocate,
What?
we've all been in that spot.
Yeah.
We have a group that we're guiding. We're talking to them. We've got 4 and 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, right? We're talking to them and we're like, what's your favorite animal? And every single one of those kids always has an answer for you. And sometimes they're really good answers. They're animals. I'm like, where did you even hear about that? That's excellent that you know about that. If you have a group of adults, what's your favorite animal, guys? They all look at you like, that's for kids, man. I don't.
Exactly.
I don't do
So
that.
I see generations of people that the school system has failed.
Yes, and I feel bad for Bill Nye.
Schools. Yes, it's school. So greater emphasis on environmentalism and conservation in schools.
And,
Yeah, and
outside of that, programming that relates more to this. And it's been a minute since I've watched content for kids, but I don't know. Personally, when I focus on how do I engage people in conservation, kids are a big part of it, but I think my personality is a little too Harrison Fordy, a little gruff to deal with kids a lot. You're close. So I prefer to focus more on, late teen, early adult age, only because in my logic, they're spending money and they can vote. But I absolutely agree with what Zach said. Kids are fundamental to the beginning part of this. I think the ultimate failure is when they become adults, there's no sustaining effort to continue that through life, right? I mean, I think probably in the last 20 years, we've come leaps and bounds with how we engage kids in wildlife. But have you ever noticed that at a lot of institutions, that seems to end at about 13 or 14?
Yeah, right.
And there's nobody to kind of lift and say, let's keep going. There's nobody doing programs for 45-year-olds. Great question, Valerie. Absolutely. Yeah, and a little Harrison Fordy, Pam. I don't know. The you're close thing, I was...
I think you need to tell a story because it doesn't make sense.
So when we all guided at the same park, you had to get the list of guests and you would go through them and organize them into groups based on numbers and such and try to send them out with a guide. And I had this just really complicated sheet I was going through trying to figure out how am I going to bunch these groups up together. So I'm working on it, and I just kind of took a knee for a sec to read through it. And this little girl who must have been 5? Easy. Comes up and she's just standing right here. And I just looked at her and I went, yeah, you play the little girl. My sheet. You're close. And they're all off on the side and they all just fall to bits laughing. That's all I said. Don't give up on the kiddos. No, that's not at all what I'm suggesting. I just think there are so many awesome groups out there that make that their priority. There's so many cool kids shows on TV. I don't know, I'm trying to think. Every museum and zoo seems to have really cool camps focused around kids.
But it's not enough. Legislation.
Sure. So we're getting to the adult side of it. I think Valerie initially asked about kind of 3 points. So kids education, I would say that's fundamental starting. Sustaining that through early adulthood to build lifelong advocacy is probably my second point. And then, sure, legislation, making it a legal obligation, especially for businesses, to do better.
And exposure.
That comes, I think, as a supplemental feature.
That when you go to the zoo, and you see a zoo elephant, it's not the same as seeing a big bull elephant out in the wild.
Yeah.
You know?
No. Not at all.
That gets you. That gets, like, grabs you by the shoulders and just gets you, like, doesn't let go, you know.
On that thought, I was going to say...
With a bull elephant on the cover.
What a
great segue.
Let me cut back. Speaking of made for kids...
It's almost like this was planned.
The World of Big Game. What a fantastic little book here. Let me just quickly pull up. We've got another cover plate here. This is a book of Africa. It tells you because it says so right there. And it's from 1968. I was. It's just after the Kennedy administration. Life was kind of weird. We were
30s then, eh?
talking about going to the moon.
Preposterous.
Poppycock. Now, if you were going to start a book about the world of big game, where would you start that book time-wise?
I don't understand that.
So when I say big game...
Like from a hunting perspective?
What are we all... when we say big game, where does your brain go?
Millions of years ago.
Okay, so you're like the author.
Yeah.
Or you read it ahead of time and know the first picture.
That one.
The Age of Reptiles is up first here.
Once upon a time. Also, a dinosaur is not a reptile, but that's okay.
It means terrible lizard, though.
It's in the hips. I don't care what it means.
Archosuria. Actually, this wouldn't be that. This is a four-legged dinosaur, which I can never remember that one. I'm just trying to skip ahead. So we start with the age... Wait, we start with the Age of Reptiles, and then 2 pages later we cut to the Age of Mammals. Now, time-wise, it's been a minute since I've thought about this history. Going from things crawling out of the ocean to mammals, how much time are we looking at?
I would probably go about 50, 60 million years ago.
And to get
go 50.
To get to kudu?
Get to kudu. Kudus, you know, so here's the thing about antelopes. Like, antelopes like kudus and impalas, they've been around, they haven't changed in millions of years. It's a design that's built around, hey, every environment needs that baseline food item for any other predator there is.
How the ancestors of our wild animals came to Africa. I'm going to just read a quick little segment of it because this book is incredibly text dense. Yeah, that's what it implies.
It's just booked a flight and like, yeah, off
10 million years ago, so we know it's not a Christian book, the main stock of the wild animals we know in Africa today arrived on this continent. In Earth's history, this period is known as the Pliocene. Nice.
What
cool
a fun
word.
time. I love that time period because it feels like nature is just like, let's just put horns and wings on anything.
We're in the Holocene now. Although they say that we're switching out into a new era.
The Anthropocene where everything dies.
That's fun. Earlier than this, the first land animals had appeared in what is called the Oligocene period, but something must have arrested their invasions, and so it was that the really large entry of animals did not occur until the Pliocene period, whereas the first animals probably entered by way of Europe. The second invasion probably entered from Asia. So let's ponder on that for a second, because they just said first wave of animals came through Europe. I don't like books that make that argument.
That's implying that there was nothing in Africa.
Exactly.
And then things just came from other areas.
Europe specifically.
Right.
France.
Like France. The IUCN Congress is being held in Marseille.
And the second invasion, and I like that using the word invasion. Probably entered from Asia. Let's double check our comments.
The Great Kudu Invasion?
That's like the Great Emu War.
It's just like that.
Sounds like there was a baby okapi born at the Ohio Zoo over the last week. That's cool. That's positive.
Yay.
We like okapi. Yeah. The shy forest giraffe. Yes. Okapia johnstoni, as we prefer. We met Okapi at the Sacramento Zoo. That was fun.
It was fun. His name was Mo.
I'd like to...
Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Go home. I'd like to meet an okapi in the wild. I think that'd be a lot more fun. Congo, that's a goal. I'm thinking, what, 2025? Should we all go?
Yeah.
Are we doing mammals in bloody 2025.
The goal is to stream this show from wherever. The yard here is great, but by the end of the year, I'm planning to stream these episodes from Africa. So for me, it'll be Sunday morning. For you guys, it'll be Saturday night.
We have the technology.
Why did the animals move from one continent to the other? Pam asks. This is largely to find available food.
Yes.
Right? Nomadic.
Correct. I also think that this book may or may not be inundated with biological inaccuracies.
I was going to say, everything coming from Europe feels like an inaccuracy to me. Nice illustration here. Let me quickly cut to it. I can't see what I'm doing. There you go. Yeah, a nice black and white illustration. Especially this one antelope here, just kind of like, what? What? Look at him there. He says, what?
Is this going to be a problem?
Am I in danger today? I don't know. Do I have to run?
Baseline food item.
Baseline food. Don't forget the guinea fowl in the background there. That's nice.
Or the hammer cup in the corner.
Is there a hammer cup?
There's a hammer cup.
Oh, what? I totally missed that. He killed a frog. Good for him.
It's a regular old shorebird, hey?
I'm going to just randomly grab lines out of these because I think rather than read this whole thing, let's just pull that. The lion was also formerly found in Asia and Syria.
Correct.
True. Yeah. Although now there are only a few very carefully preserved specimens in India. So this...
In the Gir forest.
There you go. The lion, too, originally inhabited North Africa in Barbary, but it is now extinct there. By all accounts, it was a very large type of lion with a huge mane in the tail.
What?
Wait, male. I misread that. I was like, wait, what? Okay. In male, growing well beyond the shoulders and along the stomach, which now we know isn't necessarily true of all of the lions. Oh, I love this picture. Look at this dude on the horse.
That's good.
Right there. Hold on. This is called
carnage.
Things Not to Do on a Safari. Oh, there you go. So these lovely lions, look, shh, the zebra is sleeping. And in the background, a guy on a horse. I wouldn't want to ride up to that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think about the riding of animals is not a very African thing to do historically, And I think about the first, indigenous Africans seeing, people from Europe riding horses and things going, just kind of like,
ish.
You guys are riding lion food? What is this?
What are you doing? Get down.
Conquering the world riding lion food? Yes.
Look at this lion's face. The hippopotamus and the pygmy hippopotamus of West Africa, we're jumping here, are entirely African. African. As are the zebras and all the species of antelopes.
All of them.
So here's the scoop. So the thing that this book is ignoring is all of prehistory.
What did they know?
Fine,
in 1968.
Okay.
I don't think they fully knew about that.
But still, but whatever.
Species of antelopes. Actually, the only other true antelope today. Oh, here we go. This is for you, Jeff.
Oh, good.
The only other true antelopes today in the world are the Indian black buck.
So, of all the 100...
And the Indian nilgai.
The nilgai.
Or bluebill, which is related to our eland and kudu. Or pronghorn, which is actually not an antelope at all, and it belongs to a distinct group, period. Done.
Jeff,
that's it.
Jeff, our resident antelope specialist, what is your take on
So wait, it says, so Africa is the real home of antelopes at the present day.
What about the Asian ones?
Not just African. I was going to say nilgai and then he said it, but...
I took it from you, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
He takes.
I know. He's selfish.
Doesn't give.
Oh, here we go. Let's show everybody. So nice scene here of what almost looks to be, I don't know, vaguely South African communities. We've just killed a lion. We've got the great white hunter standing up above. I don't know if this is from the library, Pam. My mom actually gave this to me. She found it at an antique shop, which is very appropriate for what it is. Animals of the savannah, or Bushveld, quote unquote. The most varied collections of wild animals in Africa inhabit the savanna country, which covers the greater part of the continent below 4,000 feet above sea level, from the Sahara to Natal. This is the rolling, lightly wooded country usually known as quote unquote Bushveld, and although the predominating types of trees vary in different parts of Africa, the general aspect of the country is much the same. I'm just trying to figure out why have we killed this lion here. Our game reserves. Most of the large national parks and game reserves of the present day are situated in the savanna country. Of these, we might mention the game reserves of the Zululand, Kruger National Park or Transvaal, Kalahari National Park, and the Cape. Well, we just basically list 1,000 parks here. Let's fast forward. Nope, we don't explain at all.
Did it say Africa was a country?
No, it didn't.
Okay. Oh, good.
They don't explain at all why they've killed the lion in this particular
Donald
photo.
Trump didn't write this book.
No. We're on page 20, by the way. Oh, here we go. Another lion hunt. Great stories about lions. How long is this? Super long. The lion has always been regarded by mankind as the king of beasts. Other animals, such as the elephant and the rhinoceros, are larger and far more formidable, but the lion, in his bearing and his reputation for courage and resolution, has always been the most impressive of all the wild animals. What do you guys think? Most impressive?
Elephant.
I agree.
Seconded.
Blue whale.
Pyrosome.
Pyrosome. From out of the left field, the pyrosome.
From the deep.
In the earliest records of history, the lion is associated with royalty and many other rulers in the ancient world. And then we go on for a very long, rambling series of text, and then this nice drawing of an ancient society where a lion has killed a person. Let's think about fear.
That's what they do.
Why are people conditioned to fear animals? Are they seen as the boogeyman? Is that the case?
I find that pre all this, people never feared big cats. I feel like very few animals around the world have influenced, I guess, our history more than the cats. A lot of people, you've got whole religions based around big cats, you know. If you think, you're the anthropologist here, I mean, like, I would argue, like, in our prehistory, like, most of our protein can come from big cat kills, you know. We'd be like, is the lion around? Yes? No? Let's get this zebra meat and run away and climb up a tree.
Well, this gets really complicated, I think.
It depends.
Well, no, from an anthropological point of view, it's really complicated only for... Actually, when this book came out, there would have been a significant anthropologist named Raymond Dart. That's D-A-R-T, Dart.
The killer ape.
The killer ape, yes. Who came up with this theory that early humans must have been, quote-unquote, killer apes. And he had all this, what he called evidence to suggest that early hominids went around just brutally murdering each other. And the fact that Homo sapiens exists today must be tied to the fact that we're the most dominant and instinctually killer of all of these apes. And that is why we succeeded and made it past all the other versions of apes, and why animals like chimps and gorillas and bonobos, which would have been very poorly known at the point in this book, and Raymond were talking about all this stuff, why all of them just sort of stayed where they were in the forest is because they didn't have that killer ape instinct. Now, his theory has been misproven repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again. In fact, at the beginning of 2001, A Space Odyssey, you guys, have you seen that?
No.
We should watch Space Odyssey.
Okay.
It's a wild movie. At the beginning, you see all these crazy cavemen, and they're just brutally beating on each other. And it's a Raymond Dart reference. Not true, not at all. In fact, there's a lot of evidence to suggest early humans, early hominids, and I'm talking like you got to go way back, like past the genus Homo, like to the Australopithecines. They were just savagely ravaged by big cats, especially, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Every time I see a video of like a leopard dragging a kill up a tree like a monkey, I'm just like, that would have been like a tiny person at one point. Like Lucy, you know?
Yes.
Australopithecus afarensis, like just up a tree. So there must be, on the one hand, an innate conditioning to being afraid of animals like that. But on the other, like they're saying, a respect. And it is well established now that our brains are larger, not as big as Neanderthals, but larger because of our access to protein, which would have come from cats. Thank you, kitty cat.
Yes.
Not dogs.
Yeah.
Well, that's another. We're gonna save that for another time.
Are we doing a prehistory episode?
We probably should.
Please and thank you.
Let's see.
Let us know down in the comments.
Brought to you by the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles.
Raymond Dart. I'm glad you know. I'm glad you know of him, Valerie. What a character. He's an interesting guy to read about. And then I'm just coming back. So we've got. I don't even know how to say this. Uyumbube means you are a lion in Zulu. Uyumbube. Great. I don't know offhand. Ingala is a word. I thought that no. Ingala is the word for lion in Zulu and Shangaan. And I don't see the root there, Ingala, anywhere in that word. So I'm not sure, but maybe you're Googling it faster than our brains work tonight. We're also
Which is slow because we're cold.
Cold and lubricated. Look at this nice image of a lion.
I'm a son.
Wow.
Just ghost in the darkness.
Now, the parts of this book that I was really interested Awimbawe. No. Oh, so I know what she's talking about now. She said from the Lion Sleeps Tonight. No, that Awimbawe, that's a whole nother thing. So the Lion Sleeps Tonight is kind of based on a work song that would have been a Zulu hunting song originally. And I'm trying to pull up the history for it real quick, and it's been a while. We also have Valerie saying Dart is incredible because he insisted the Tang child was important, and indeed, to explain our heritage, absolutely. He did make some incredibly meaningful contributions to anthropology that are still referenced and cited today. But his whole killer ape thing was a little bit out there. The Tang child, man, it's been a little bit since I've read about that, or I remember having to do a whole presentation on that in university. Bringing back some fun memories. Thank you, Valerie. Yeah, very hairy lion. Where was I going? Awimbawe, Lion Sleeps Tonight, Zulu song. It's a hunting song, but... No. I'm trying to remember the original name for it. It's escaping me. Let's move on to this sad picture of people.
Oh, look at him.
Cowering.
Probably
Is this
Savo? Probably the most famous of all the lions in Africa were two animals which play the principal role in the book The Man-Eaters of Savo. Written by Lieutenant Colonel J.H. Patterson. In 1898, two lions attacked the Indian workers building the railway line from Mombasa to Nairobi, and so terrified them that the entire construction was halted for 2 weeks on end. You probably could tell the story better than they could here. Do you want to jump in?
So once upon a time, so here's the thing about cats. So a lion can see you in the dark, like I would see you mid-afternoon. So essentially what happened was they had forced these workers to work through the night by candle and lantern, right? And so you'd just be kind of banging away at the railroad, and then just your mate next to you would just be dragged off in the dark. And I think over a couple of months, I think they took out like well over 100 people. It was amazing.
Is that a lot?
Yes.
Look at this nice
and I feel like those
graphic
cats,
detail. Hold on.
You can see those specific specimens in the Field Museum in Chicago.
Which, probably not next week. I think we're going to have to amend our schedule for Misguided. The week after, we're going to be live on Safari with Brent Leo Smith. And Brent and his father collected several of the specimens in the Field Museum in Chicago. There you go. I also like this guy that's just terrified of what's going on.
Eek.
Picture seeing this, just lion attacking your friend.
Zoinks!
Zoinks! Jinkies, holy cow, what's going on here?
Jeepers!
Is that Shaka?
No, that's not Shaka. Well, Shaka never wore a hat like that. Lion fighting with station. Send urgent secure. On this occasion, the lion failed to enter the station and secure. Oh, so we're still talking about Savo. It's a long story. Also, kind of just all over the shop in this book. The story of Huberta. I've never heard of Huberta. The most remarkable hippopotamus that ever lived. And you know she's remarkable because she's got this wonderful little hyacinth on her head.
Is this the Jungle Cruise now? Is this...
I don't want to go there.
Are we going to talk about the backside of water?
No, not on this show.
O2H.
Fat-free water.
I'm just trying to quickly skim through this to pull out why she's important, but I'm not seeing it. She just seems to be a loud hippo. Here we are.
The only characteristic, she's loud. Cool.
Here we are, truck stuck in the water. Hippopotamus comes to kind of mess up your day. Not an animal you want to be on the wrong side of, that's for sure. Where do you not want to be if a hippo's around? This would actually be challenging. What do you do if you show up, you're trying to cross the bridge and there's a hippo sleeping in the middle of the bridge?
You don't cross the bridge. Because if you cross the bridge, you're too bloody close.
You're too close.
Where's that picture of that kid that's too close to hippo?
Oh,
That's what I'm looking for.
It's coming. Wait for it.
Look at all these happy white people.
Look at them. Well, I mean, are they all white?
There's
Not the
one
servant.
Oh, God. Then we were cancelled immediately.
Like I said, this book is from 1968. It's a very different era.
We need that, like, Disney Plus disclaimer in the front.
Yeah.
The ideas of the books that we read.
Yeah.
May not represent modern thinking. I'm just trying to still pull out what's the point of this story.
What is special about the hippo?
This is a great line. Half the local population seemed to have nothing better to do than stand pop-eyed around the pool, hoping to see a few bubbles and hear an occasional The hippo, soon tired of all this vulgar curiosity, that night it waddled off and turned inland to Pinetown and settled down with a heavy sigh in the middle of the municipal waterworks. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, should we show this picture? Oh.
No.
I think for you at home, we're going to skip that image.
Survey says no.
That's not appropriate. Like we said, this book is a little bit outdated. But I do like this picture of a hippo chasing a buffalo or a cow out of a field.
Then the cow jumped over the moon.
The cow jumped over the moon.
True story.
This little boy is shook, though. Look at that face.
Wildlife.
Oh, no.
Eek.
My whole family's going to go out and murder painted dogs later.
Oh, God. Jeez.
Here we go.
Reality, knock, knock.
Reality. Is this too close?
That's not the little boy.
Too close.
Nah, not the little boy.
There he is.
There he is. So this is what not to do if your child wants to take a photo of a hippopotamus.
Too bloody close.
Too close. What's he going to get a photo of? The tooth?
Oh. He's smiling for the kid, though. Look at him.
He's happy to see him, yes. A what? That's his whole expression. This guy's whole expression is, oh, what? A hippo?
It's like the guy from Jaws.
You don't say. I've never seen a hippo. It's not keeping off the grass.
What? What type of shark is that?
What kind of shark is that?
It's a tiger shark. A what?
He also looks like he's the hamburger guy from Popeye. All right, so the rest of this is basically just hippo, hippo, hippo.
At the end of the day.
Oh,
No,
she
it's in a sad...
died and they taxidermized it and put it in this museum. That's fun. One quick showing of that. Look at everybody happy. So this is engaging kids.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, sir. The end.
Yeah, no, that's the end. We're just hippo in a museum, and there you go. Well, again, we didn't really read this because it's dense. I have to sit down and actually read this book. But I think it's a fun illustration of how information has changed, how perceptions have changed, how images of people have changed. There's quite a lot going on there. What do you guys think? Good, bad, middle of the road compared to other books we've read? Bad. Ooh.
For the show, yes.
Great.
As a book.
I would be keen to find, if we could for the show, a book from this time period that actually still could be relevant today. Maybe we have to go to Oklahoma to find that and check out one of the schools there.
There's a particular book that I think we should do a show about.
Which one?
The photo arc.
I've done a stream about the photo arc, but we should revisit it. In fact, they did the new edition of the photo arc, right?
Vanishing.
If you guys aren't familiar, the photo arc is Joel Sartore, National Geographic. It's a book that tries to encompass photos of every species of animal that he can get to. What is he up to, like 18,000 now?
Round about.
You messed it up. It was all standing nice and,
I'm sorry.
Nice and still. At any rate, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to try to wrap up here. I'm going to just skim back through the comments. Hippopotamus in Museum, indeed, and famous forever. It sounds like Valerie. Thank you for a glorious Saturday night live experience. Definitely, Valerie. I don't know if you're still on with us, but plan for it. Next week, we're probably going to switch the schedule out, guys. We're going to do the gear that moves us. We're going to talk about life in the bush, life in the field, because we've all been there. What gear do we take? What gear do you prefer to have? So next week, let us know stuff that you love having with you in the field. If there's a particular set of shoes, or I don't know, a drink or a camera gear you like, or whatever. Next week, we're going to get really nerdy about all that. The week after, we're probably going to have Brent Leo Smith with us in the bush live. We'll be here, unfortunately, but he's going to be in South Africa at about 2 a.m. testing out a night drive. But he's got new technology to let him see in the dark that he was really excited about. So he's going to test it out for us on the show. And then after that, at the end of the month, we're going to be covering astronomy, the wilderness of the sky, with a good friend of ours, John Whitehouse, who's an astronomer. Should be a great show. And then in February, we're going to keep season 2 going. We've got a whole lineup for February. I haven't released that just yet, though. But as always, I'm so happy you guys can make time to spend with us. It means a lot. Thank you for the support. Again, if you want to check out that Rhino group, the Rhino Conservation group. I left the link in the description for the show. Check them out. Great little group in South Africa. Till next time, guys, stay wild.